Hello once again YouTube, Chris the Nightbringer here bringing you some StarMade today. Today we're going to be looking at a very special project that I will be working on very soon, probably the day this video is posted, or the few days after, following it, of course, which would be called the weekend, because this is going to be posted Friday. Essentially, a recent addition to the dev build has spurred a burst of genius in terms of my plans for this new Eden Fleetworks project. You may already know what that addition is. It is FTL. Basically, FTL is being added to StarMade. It will be an addition to the game that is currently being worked on in the dev builds by the developer, of course. So, what I realized is that I can also work on jump gates, because jump gates are also part of Eve, and they function very similarly to the way that they will be implemented into StarMade. So, we're going to be taking a look at some of them. Eventually, we will take a look at all of them, just like how we will take a look at all the capital ships and all the individual models from some of the races as I make my way to those models, right? But for now, we are going to be taking a look at Minmatar jump gates, because currently I am focusing on Minmatar ships in the New Eden Fleetworks project. So, there's quite a bit of information to take in when we look at the gates. Here is one of the smallest gates, actually it is the smallest gate for the Minmatar. This is a Minmatar system gate. So, among the races of EVE Online, there are 4 different types of gates. There are system gates, Constellation gates, regional bit gates, and border gates. And they all serve a slightly different purpose, and basically it's their different sizes are, attributed to the ranges that they teleport people in the game. So, a system gate teleports, or wormhole effects, they jump you through the wormhole from one star system to another inside the same constellation. Whereas a constellation gate teleports you from one constellation to the next constellation. A region goes from one region to another, and the border gate is a gate that allows you access from one empire to another, because the gates for the empires themselves don't exactly give you the easiest access to another empire's space. So this is the smallest gate. It's the system gate for the Minmatar. Imagine my Minmatar builds, right? Like the Breacher with its brown and the gray and the black, and imagine that covering up this, making it that color and all sorts of stuff. One of the cool things about these gates is they have like all these really crazy particles emanating from these lights that are along the side. It basically is a wormhole generator, or at least that's how they explain it in Eve. Unfortunately, some of these gates that I will be showing you are not a full circuit, which means that I'm going to have to disguise the actual gate module as best as I can when I make the complete circuit, because it's going to look a little funky, and I'm going to have to work on that. And I'm probably going to use some sort of camouflage effect with crystals and making it look like some sort of plasma electrical arc that is engulfing the gate module and making it look like the top and bottom of this are, connected with some sort of energy. I don't know, it's going to be a fun project, but one thing that I would like to mention, and I hope you keep this in mind when I show you the rest of the gates that I'll be showing you today, is that this is scaled down significantly. Essentially, almost every single gate in EVE Online is capable of transporting sub-capital ships. Now, I have shown you a capital-sized ship in one of my first videos of this project. I've shown you a battleship-sized ship. The Typhoon and the Tempest were in that video, and you got to see just how absolutely massive those ships were. And obviously, if I brought a kilometer-long ship next to this 200-meter-wide gate, it's not going to fit. This gate, and all the gates that I'm showing you, what I wanted to do was scale them down so that next to each other, they were all in scale with each other. They may not be in scale with the ships, but the gates themselves would be in scale with each other. That being said, I still plan on releasing different sizes of these gates, different models. Not models, but they're the same model, just scaled down to a different size. So to put that into perspective, this gate and all the gates that I'm showing you today are scaled down to 5% of what their actual size is. If you want to think of what that would actually be like with this gate in front of you, imagine this gate right here 20 times larger in every direction. So this is, I believe, 4 kilometers across in one direction. Currently it's 200 meters. And that's rivaling some of the capital ships of Eve, which is why capital ships are not even capable of using this gate, right? So this gate is literally 1/20th of its original size. It's 5% of its original size. So keep that in mind as I show you the rest of the gates, because they are all scaled down to 5%. So this is the system gate. The next stage would be the Constellation gate. Now I'm going to get a little bit of lag here, so you may see a little bit of a drop in frame rate. But essentially, this is the next jump up. Now, this is a pretty big jump in terms of size. This gate right here is approximately 23 kilometers long at full scale. And I have to say, this is one of the most interesting looking gates. In the end, it will probably be a little bit less hard on your graphics because a lot of these structures are actually truss work. If you know anything about the Minmatar, they rely very much on truss work in their designs. It makes it look like, you know, they kind of have a more industrial and less advanced society. But this entire structure will be open with metal trusses and beams connecting all the rings, which you see that I'm flying past here. And all these rings would be glowing with orange energies that create the wormhole, and as you enter the gate on that end, you would accelerate to this end, and it would propel you forward with the effect, and it's really nice. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this is probably one of the gates that you guys are going to want to stick away from if you have a bad computer. This thing is literally over 1 kilometer long. I believe the actual size is 1,150 meters. So, you know, that's pretty damn big. I can understand why you would want to stay away from it. The other gate isn't that bad. And currently I'm getting 22 FPS while looking at this thing, if not less. It's 15 FPS. So I can totally understand if you guys want to avoid this gate entirely. I will still be making it on this scale. This scale seems okay. I'll be completely honest. Even for the length and size of this gate, it's got a very small aperture. It's not a very big ship that you could fit through here, right? You know, I'm thinking this is like 50 meters across tops. So, you know, you're going to have a bit of a problem trying to fit some larger ships in here, but nonetheless, it's a really nice looking gate. I love it. It makes it look ridiculously industrial, massive. There's all these pipes and towers sticking out the side, and it just looks really good in the end. So now that we have looked at 2 gates, I'm going to show you the larger ones, which are the region and the border gate, and then I will show you the actual FTL in action with one of these gates. So destroy entity. And I will keep this gate over here just so you can keep a sense of scale for each of the gates that I'll be loading in today. And keep in mind that there's a lot more detail to this than I'll probably be able to fit in because they are scaled down. A lot of that detail is going to get lost, which is a bit unfortunate. And like I said, this is a 5% scaled gate. I do plan on making this particular model and possibly others scaled up versions, possibly 10% their original scale, simply because they look better on a larger scale, and it's still a viable option for most players to download and use because they aren't that resource intensive on your computers. So let me load in the next gate. I should probably make that an actual command. Load gate M region 5 import. And I should probably give it a name, M region. And I believe I have spawned it in. So this is the regional gate. This is a step up from the Constellation gate, and in my opinion it looks a lot more like a gate, and it could even double as a dry dock. When you see the entire structure laid out before you, you'll think of this more as a dry dock than an actual gate, and I think. But nonetheless, it's going to have all these really cool effects going on. I'm really pushing for the particle system now. I was under the impression that there was a particle block that they would be adding. Not a block that is a particle, but a block that dispenses particles or places particles in a general area around it. I'm not sure. I have no idea what their plans are for that, but I heard it was going to be a thing eventually, and I think it would be really amazing if they could include that, because I can think of ways to make those particles work with these gates. In Eve, the gates emit energies that create a wormhole, and you can see all the distortion in space because the wormhole is being generated when you fly through a gate. And I'm not thinking that they could take it that far with the particles, but it would definitely help having particles there in the first place. You know, things just streaming into the area and stuff like that. They should also, and I want to mention this now, be able to reverse the particle effect and have things being sucked into the particle block. Now, I have, again, no idea if they are actually planning on doing this. It was just a suggestion I heard, and it sounded very legitimate by whatever I heard it from, whatever source it was, and I'm not sure who said it or what. But if that's not already planned for the game, I think it would be really good, because that could add quite a bit, especially when it comes to the interior designs of ships and machinery designs and stuff like that. So that'd be really cool for me and my project, so that I could give these some really cool effects. And like I said, some of you may even want to use this as a dry dock, because look, it looks like a dry dock. It looks like a docking area for a massive ship. This isn't as intense on my system as the last gate was, the Constellation gate. I am getting a solid 30-40 FPS with this entire thing on my screen. So that's not too bad. You know, it's still entirely viable, and, you know, there's a lot more open space. Of course, that will probably change if I put stuff inside of these structures along the side here. Here where you can tell it's definitely Minmatar because it has the glass fins. So yeah, this is the regional gate, and it looks pretty good. I like it. It's a lot larger, and keep in mind, this is only 5% of its actual size. This thing right here is absolutely massive, and the only reason I can actually fit some of these gates in is because I changed the sector size to be larger. So we are going to spawn in the last gate here. It's going to be the border gate. This is the largest gate for the Minmatar, and it separates borders between the different empires of EVE Online universe, and it should be down there. This one will no doubt have a larger impact on system performance, and I may have to scale this down even further. I spawned this in at 10%, it was over 3 kilometers long, and I could literally render no more than a fourth of it at the time, and rendering the entire thing at once is a big hassle. I didn't realize this, but the default segment count that the game lets you render is 1,500 segments. I am currently rendering up to 20,000 segments. So, you know, I may be pushing it in terms of what you guys are capable of using. And I totally understand that. I want, you know, as many people to be able to use these ships as possible. When I spawned in Skylord Luke's UNSC Infinity, I was able to get a decent frame rate out of that. I was able to play with a decent frame rate, but after a while of using it, my frame rate started to lower. And that was probably because I was shooting up another one of his ships. So sorry, Skylord, I just wanted to see how capable they were. So I took your UNSC Infinity and I shot the Spirit of Fire, and I blew it to bits. And tremble in fear. So there's that. But, you know, this thing is over 1 kilometer long. I believe this is 1,750 meters long. This is literally... This is 5% of its actual scale. I cannot make it any bigger. I can only go smaller. From 5%, 4%, you know, 3% might be what you guys are capable of using. 1% might be what you guys are capable of actually playing with. It's ridiculous. If I scaled this down to 1%, it would be, I believe, 350 meters long, and it might actually be what some people are capable of using on their computers. And I'm still not done rendering it on my own computer because it's just so large. It's ridiculous. And this is not the largest gate in EVE. There is one that is 37 kilometers at its largest length. It is the Galente one, I believe. I could be wrong. Pretty sure it's the Galente one. Let me check. The border gate for... Yeah, okay. It is the longest one. This is the second largest gate at 35 kilometers approximately. Now I spawned this in at 3 kilometer length, 10% size, and these towers here were absolutely massive. Can you imagine the antennas down here being twice as long, twice as thick? These are just antennas. And at full scale, they literally go on for kilometers. It's absolutely nuts. So this is the actual full gate, somewhat loaded in now at this point. There's a little bit at the end that we still have to go. Well, actually, there's quite a bit at the end that we still have to go. But it's nuts. It's freaking nuts. This thing is basically a flying city. Absolutely crazy. There is no way that I can spawn this in at full scale, because I can hardly use SM Edit with a 5 or even a 3 kilometer ship. So trying to load this in at 3 kilometers is pretty hard, because this is a little bit bulkier than 3 kilometer long ships. I think the Nyx is the only thing that comes close to this current scale and bulk of this thing, right? So there it is. That's the border gate for the Minmatar. It's absolutely nuts. Over here, you can see these cylinders here. These things, imagine, now, first of all, imagine these things spewing fire, because that's what they do in EVE Online. I don't know why it does it, but these things eject fire out the top like a fiery smokestack, right? Now imagine that 20 times larger. 20 times larger. Oh god, I'm spinning. I hit the wrong button. 20 times larger for this little structure here is probably, I don't know, hold on. Let's count. Let's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So it's about 20 blocks long already. So 20 times 20, which is 2 times 2, it was just 4. I believe that's 400 meters. Right? 400 meters. That's how big that cylinder is across. And to put that into a better perspective, I can actually show you. That cylinder is twice the width of this gate here, because this gate is somewhere around 200 meters. It's 239 meters across at 5%. The cylinder is literally twice as wide. Can you imagine a cylinder that big shooting fire into space? That's nuts. That's absolutely nuts. That's why EVE is just ridiculous. The scales involved are just too big. This thing rivals a city in full scale. And if I tried to import this into a default world at full scale, it would go from one star to the next and past it. That's how big they are. Because the current sector size is 1,000 meters, and there are 16 sectors in a star system. So this thing, at 35 kilometers long, is larger than 2 star systems in the default game. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. Now, unfortunately, I don't actually have enough time. I want to keep the videos shorter. I'm already on 18 minutes. I was supposed to end at 15 minutes. And I'm trying to keep the videos under 15 minutes from now on for audience retention purposes. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. I will not be showing you any warp gate effects or any of that today. However, I will begin the project, the process of converting these to usable gates by the player. And I'll probably be doing that in the dev build, although I don't really want to have to be using the dev build, but I gotta wait until they're actually put into StarMade as the regular build and whatnot. So, until then, you will not be seeing any progress made on the gates, but once they're in the default game, the stable release, I will be showing you what I've accomplished on them, along with my ship updates as usual. So, thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you got some insight as to the ridiculousness that is EVE Online. And I really hope you enjoyed it. Leave your feedback down below. Tell me what you want to see, if there's anything specific. And I'll probably be doing my next video on some smaller ships, and possibly getting some release videos done. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.